Hi there everyone, Coach Alexia here. Another video in my series on mindset, and this is specifically around racers. So there's loads of stuff you can think about around this, and in this short video today I'm just going to cover a very small selection to give you some ideas. And as always, all of these mindset tips are very, very personal and individual to each individual runner. I'm going to talk about three, key parts of a race as a whole that people tend to talk to me quite a lot in terms of the mindset topic. So the first is before the race, the days before or the morning of, then the very beginning of a race, and then towards the end. So three slightly different stages to start thinking about. Pre-race, in the days before and the morning of, we may have a little bit of adrenaline buzzing around. So that's no bad thing necessarily, particularly on race day morning, because adrenaline is a performance enhancing drug. Our body produces adrenaline when we are excited and or nervous. And exciting and or nervous is often a pretty good summary of what we're feeling like on the race day morning or in the few days building up to it. The trick here is to find a good level of adrenaline for you. You want a little bit because, it's going to help you perform on race day. You don't want too much because that's maybe going to make you feel a bit too nervous about things and potentially also give you butterflies in your stomach, needing to go to the loo quite often, stuff that isn't going to be that helpful for your running. So planning can help. Having a plan over the few days pre-race and race day morning of what you're going to do, when you're going to set off, pre-packing your bag, offloading a few of those worries that might be cropping up when you're feeling a little bit nervous. And trying to think about a little protective sort of bubble around yourself, particularly on race day morning. Prioritising calming activities, maybe a bit of breathing, maybe reading a book, listening to some good music, things that can just detach you a little bit if you're feeling on the more nervous adrenaline end of the scale, away from all the buzz that's going on around you. However, if you're not feeling that kind of up for it, if you're feeling a bit kind of low going into the race, then engaging in that race village sort of atmosphere might help raise those adrenaline levels a little bit. As I say, we don't want none, we don't want loads, we want somewhere in the middle to help our performance. The adrenaline is another reason why we need to kind of keep a little bit of an eye on the first stage of the race. It's probably one of the key reasons why some people shoot off and go too fast too soon, particularly in the longer race distances, half marathon, marathon and above. We don't want to do that, particularly over the longer distance races, because we will pay for it later and our time overall will more than likely be a slower one. So in those first few miles or kilometre of a race, it's about just thinking about your own game plan. So having your own game plan and sticking to it. Maybe having a ceiling, a pace ceiling or a heart rate ceiling that you're not going to go above. Having sort of things to think about to just kind of work on settling you into your own rhythm. The rhythm of your footfall, the rhythm of your breathing. Any sort of things that you can do just to kind of focus on what you're doing as opposed to getting too caught up with what everyone else is doing around you. Conversely, towards the end of a race, you can use what's going on around you as a little bit of an energy boost, picking up and hoovering up some energy from the crowds or other runners towards the end of a marathon, for example, can be what our mind needs to focus and finish off those final few miles. I've covered in one of the previous videos, often at that stage in the game when we're feeling tired, those final 4 or 5 miles of a marathon, for example, we get a few brain gremlins, we might get some negative self-talk, we might be, just kind of lower energy, talking ourselves out of things a little bit. So using some of those tips in the previous videos of positive self-talk and about distraction, just doing other things with our brain, playing I Spy, spotting charity runner t-shirts, all of that sort of stuff to try and shush that negative self-talk a little bit in the final stages of the race. Just being in the moment. So instead of thinking I've got 4 miles to go, just focusing on the mile, half mile, kilometre long section that you're in. And also maybe using some of kind of mindfulness tactics about just connecting with 5 things you can see, hear, smell, feel, and maybe even taste. So just getting yourself in the moment, trying to stop your brain from worrying too much about the final few miles to come. Hope that's helpful.